What is going on, everyone? This is a little special chat. This isn't an episode of anything. This is just a chat that I'm just dropping here on YouTube just because. Like, Queen put out this tweet the other day. She said, I'm sick of not talking, basically. You're bored. You're like, I've had enough. I know you specifically said wrestling. We'll talk. Don't worry, for everyone here that just wants wrestling, we will talk about wrestling. But if anyone knows Queen and I, the chats that we've had, I mean, we'll talk about literally anything. Like anything. Like nothing is really off for us, which is, I think, a good thing because wrestling is wonderful and we live and die by it, even though sometimes I have a weird relationship with it. We do live and die by wrestling. But, you know, there's more to the world. But we're going to talk about, there's a lot going on in wrestling because we can't avoid, even if we wanted to not talk about wrestling, there's a lot going on, no matter what you're really watching, by the way, which is really good because anyone can watch any pocket of wrestling and just be like, listen, I'm only watching this because it's fucking awesome at the moment, which is what a great problem to have. But we will talk about that at some point. But Queen put out a tweet, said I want to talk to some people. And I was like, listen, I gave it a day because I was like, I don't want to be that person that's just like, talk to me first. But I mean, you're probably talking to me first.
I am talking to you first.
It's not a shock, but me and Queen actually haven't had the opportunity to speak in a little while. You know, it's just the fabrication of life, I guess, sometimes. And we're on two different sides of the world. Sometimes it's not the easiest to just be like, you know, hey. And it's like, oh, sorry, I was asleep for the last 8 hours. My bad. But we'll occasionally pop in. We pop in with each other every now and again just to be like, hey, you doing all right? Doing all right. Mm-hmm. But Queen, first question is, how the fuck are you doing?
Oh, first of all, it's so nice to see you because first of all, you're you, but second of all, it has been a long time. And I'm good. It's good. Summer, still hot. And
I'm in a hoodie and a beanie at the moment. It's relatively cold at the moment.
I'm in a hoodie and a hat, but just because I have AC. But
oh, I love it. How good is air conditioning, by the way? Like, it's just like
literally the best.
I mean, we have hot summers. I know you have hot summers as well. But like, if I didn't have air conditioning, like, I'd just fall off the face of the earth. I know a lot of people in the UK, like, they went through a big heat wave, or they're still going through a heat wave at the moment. And a lot of those places, they don't have AC because, like, they're not. I mean, England.
It's not usually like that.
Yeah, the UK is a fairly cold place, but I couldn't imagine. I would be like, I couldn't live there.
Hard pass.
Yeah, because
AC is coming with me no matter where I go.
I remember this about you, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're both winter bodies. We love winter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, see, I love the fashion in winter is better. I'm more comfortable in winter. Going to bed is so much better. Like, you can get cozy and like,
oh yeah.
It's just
extra blankets.
Yeah, like, I don't want to be like, you're having a fan on in the nighttime in winter. You've got like one leg in, one leg out. You're wearing minimal clothing. No, thank you. I don't subscribe to that, and I don't understand how people
it's not comfortable.
Can. I don't want to judge, but how do you do that? I just don't understand how you enjoy the heat.
I don't know. It's not my thing either.
It's not my thing either. So naturally, when I have realized something. We've had countless amounts of chats. Like, I don't know how many we've had at this time. But something that we've never talked about, and I actually went back and checked, something we've never really talked about is our love for The Office.
Oh my God. How have we never talked about that?
Okay, so The Office is, I'll say this isn't even a subjective opinion. The Office is the most gifable show ever. If you have a feeling or an emotion, you have a GIF with The Office related to it in some capacity. I mean, for everything.
Without question.
Before I even watched The Office, I watched The Office through GIFs. Did you watch The Office when it was first airing, like on television every week?
I did.
Okay, so I know this about you. This is the extent of our Office chats, everybody, is that Queen thinks that The Office is the greatest sitcom of all time, which I agree with.
Hands down, without question. Now, I know people are going to be like, the UK version, but that's cool. Live your life, but you're wrong. And, you know, there's nothing you can tell me that's going to change my mind. I respect your opinion, but I'm going to tell you right now, you're wrong. And
I'm the same.
Let me live my truth.
Okay, so let's talk about The Office for a minute. We'll get to wrestling. Don't worry, we'll get there. But I can't believe we've never talked about this with our love for The Office being what it is. So
Yeah.
If someone if you're trying to give this show a sales pitch, not that it needs it, but if someone's never watched it, how do you explain what this show is? Because let's be honest, the first season is really rough, and some people
it's hard to get through.
You can't. Some people are like, I've tried and I cannot get through it. I'm like, you just got to soldier through. But if you're trying to sell this show to someone and be like, you've got to watch this, how do you sum it up?
I have never felt as satisfied with a sitcom start to finish and can rewatch it over and over and over, and it's still funny even now, and even when, you know, OG characters aren't really there anymore, and it still fucks. That's all you need to know.
That's true. That is a really good way of selling. Sometimes I have a hard time articulating what this show really is at its core.
I can't. Yeah, I mean, it's comedy, but it's a very different type of comedy.
Because it does pull on your heartstrings too. There's moments in that show where you're like, bitch.
Emotional for sure.
And we can talk. It's been long enough since it's aired. We can talk about the stuff that happens. Like, you take the main character out of that show, and it's, listen, I know the last 2 seasons aren't as good as peak Office, but
it's just different.
It is different, but you still could take the main character out of that show, and it still works.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hard, like, Michael
That's
Scott,
hard to do.
Steve Carell, he was the main character of the first 7 seasons of that show, and you think
Without
taking
question.
him away, it would just crumble, and it didn't crumble. There was moments in it where you're like, this probably needs to end, and I'm glad they did end it after the 9th season,
right.
But it still worked. Like, I guess they just switched from him to maybe Jim and Pam being the more central of...
Sure, and Dwight in his own way.
Yeah, and Dwight as well. But I mean...
Which he's always kind of been.
That was still an ensemble cast. I don't care what anyone says to me.
Right.
I know Michael Scott, Steve Carell was the guy, but it was still an ensemble without... It wouldn't have worked if it was just Michael.
It wouldn't work without everybody. Yeah, I agree. And I think, too, what makes it so special and also hard to describe is there's storylines, but also there's not storylines. There's a lot of episodes that are just like, this day. Mm-hmm. This is what's happening this day.
It flows,
and they may
but
right.
You don't necessarily have to watch A and B to get C.
Correct. You could watch an episode of The Office and get an understanding for what it is and have missed the previous, 5 episodes, let's say. That's what I feel is difficult about explaining it. But on the other side of that, what's easy to explain, and I think why it resonates with so many people, is it's so relatable to people who are working and have this type of, I don't want to say close, they are close, but like, it's a small office. Office, but it's a small set of people that work together, right? It's not like a massive corporation. And I feel like when, even if you do work for a big company, you do have your small team of people that you work with more than anybody else. And I feel like that's the part of The Office that's super relatable. There's always one office or more romance. There's always one dude who just like doesn't fucking get it. There's always one person who's always like just a smidge off. There's always somebody who's obsessed with their animals. There's always somebody there that's grumpy or, is
over obsessed with work.
Right. There's always somebody. And I feel like you can find somebody in that show that you can relate to someone in your own life. And I think that makes it just more...
It's the best.
Yeah. I mean, it is the best because you can relate to that. And I feel like when you can relate to whatever's on your screen, it's more of an emotional connection.
Okay. A couple more things on The Office before we move on. Let's talk Jim, Pam, and Roy. Okay. So
why don't we?
Let's unpack this for a minute because... Okay. Jim and Pam they're the ultimate couple. Everyone wants the Jim and Pam relationship. I mean, if you're saying you don't, you're probably lying. It's pretty fairy tale. However, Pam and Roy were together and, Jim's kind of on the sidelines and clearly there's something going on. Clearly they have feelings for one another. Was Jim in the wrong? You know how when Kathy comes into the picture later on in the show and like she tries to obviously do something with Jim, wasn't she just kind of doing what Jim was doing with Pam?
Basically.
So,
you know,
I know everyone hates Kathy, and I get it. Like, she was kind of a piece of work, but we all love Jim.
Right. And it's very interesting for a couple of reasons. One's a male and one's a female.
And it's a double standard. Yuck.
And there's a double standard. 2, nobody's mad at Pam.
That's true.
And I think they should be.
True.
Because their ultimate goals in the end. Like they're, meant to be together, and their relationship is so great that a lot of people forget about the way this came about because of how cute the story ends up being. But she had a whole fiance and shit.
And Roy wasn't great. We're not going to sit here and say Roy was a great.
Roy sucks. But that doesn't. It's just very interesting. Still doesn't make it cool. No. And I totally agree about Kathy. I don't like Kathy at all. I never liked Roy either. Pam and Roy should have never been together, but in my brain, Pam should have been like, you gotta go.
Yeah.
Like, I can't
cut that shit off.
Cut it off. Because easier said than done, right? I can't speak for other people in real life.
Yeah.
But it's scary whenever you have feelings for somebody.
Oh, sure.
I get it. But
also, you're engaged to that man for a long time.
Yeah, but why are you engaged to that man?
They were engaged for so fucking long.
So fucking long. And that's like your big flag right there. Like, don't marry this guy. Anyway. But I think you're right about the Kathy thing. And that's like a super good point. Like, why is no one mad at Jim? Why is no one really mad at Pam? But you're going to come for Kathy? Why?
Because I guess she was the new one. She was an outsider. I get it. Like, she isn't like that was like season 6 maybe.
Yeah.
Like, was pretty established in the whole show by that point with these characters. But if you're just looking at it from over here, it's like she was really just doing what Jim was doing, maybe on a bit of a grander scale. But
bigger scale, sure. Because Jim was really, I feel, conservative.
Yeah, he was.
Kathy was
until he kissed her, but I mean,
well, yeah, but it took a long time to get there. True. I feel like Kathy had the gas on the whole time.
I mean, yeah, she went from 0 to 100 real quick. I mean, right. I at least appreciate the woman's got game, but other than that, like, you cannot just like whatever. All right, last thing on The Office. Who is your favorite Office character?
Dwight Schrute, all day, every day, on Sundays, every day that ends in Y.
Phyllis Vance. Come on now.
I knew you were going to say that.
Phyllis is the best.
I knew you were going to say that. I didn't even have to ask.
Phyllis is the best.
Phyllis is
and
great.
She's a piece of shit, and it's great.
I know, she sucks.
She's actually
but
an
also
asshole.
She's great.
I love her.
Yes,
some of the stuff she says to like
so true.
Pam, and some of the stuff she says to like Angela.
So shady.
Girl.
The shade.
Wash your mouth, love. You look like a trout.
I was like,
Phyllis.
I mean, I love it.
Oh, and then there's, I briefly talked about Angela, but her cats is, whoa.
I know.
When Sprinkles
you
dies,
have to have a soft spot for her.
Oh, Sprinkles
the
dies.
Worst.
And Michael, when he's like, Sprinkles, it's like, oh.
I know. It was a moment.
Okay, one last thing. How much did you cry when Pam finally got to read the note and like they have the montage of Jim and Pam's relationship? It is so tough to get through. When the Snow Patrol song comes on, you're like, girl.
Yeah, and that hits in the feels.
Because it's ending and you know that it's ending. Every time I binge that show and I get to the end, I'm like, will I cry this time? And I do.
Always.
And then that last scene where they're like showing everything and Pam takes the...
Oh my God, it's just... Listen, if this isn't a sales pitch.
Oh, obviously.
Chef's kiss.
The finale is so good because... So I was a person that watched Parks and Rec first.
You watched that first.
Which is weird because most people would watch Parks and Rec after. What I watched Parks and Rec first because I love Amy Poehler. Amy Poehler is like great because, I grew up on Mean Girls and I seen her in that, Saturday Night Live, all that blah, blah, blah. But Parks and Rec to me will always have the soft, like sentimental, like, oh, I love that show because I watched it first. But is, it's 1A and 1B to me of like, they're very similar shows. They're different, but they're made by the same people. So
it's got the same vibe.
It's that style of show to me is just like unbeatable. It's just like so
Can't get,
good.
Yeah.
Do you like Parks and Rec as well?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I love it as much as The Office.
Most people say that.
I enjoy it. They have some good people on there.
Yeah, they really do. I'm looking over here because I think Giddy's licking something that she shouldn't be. What are you doing?
She heard you talk about sprinkles. Look what you did.
Yeah, look at that. She's probably jealous. That relationship that woman has with her cats is when they do the fire drill and she throws sprinkles up into the thing.
Freaking Angela.
Oh man! All right, let's divert here. Let's talk some wrestling because we'll sandwich some topics in with some wrestling.
Sure.
To say the last few months of wrestling in general has been interesting would be a bit of an understatement. There's been a lot happening. Let's talk AEW first because
sure.
I've dipped out again. I've dipped out again.
Dipped out.
You're already know the reason why. No one's going to be surprised.
At 9:30.
And I'm sorry, but there is no excuse anymore. No one can give me, but it's improved. No, actually, I don't know if it has. They're still getting one match. They're still getting one story on every Dynamite. There's no excuse to not have more than 3 women featured at a time. I'm sorry, but there isn't. It's the same bullshit storylines every single time. Match, run-in, backstage interview, video package. Why should I care? I just don't. I'm not saying that the women are bad. It's never been about the talent. Blah, blah, blah. We're sick of the same argument. I've dipped out. I just can't. What I like in wrestling, it's not hitting it for me. I'm not saying...
I got you.
AEW's doing great things. I'm not saying... And I'm still, I've got tabs on it and I'm, YouTube highlights and all that BS. I can watch what I need to watch. But on a week-to-week basis, when I'm waiting for that thing to happen and it's not happening, and it's been how long since Dynamite has been on now? 3 years? 4? How long are we being on for?
Long time. 3.
There's no excuse for it anymore. Be better. You have no reason not to be better with it. You have talent. Give it some time. I just don't think there's any excuse to only have one women's match on every Dynamite. And like last week's Rampage, from my understanding, the only women that were featured were in a mixed tag. Like, I'm sorry, but that's just not on for me. So I won't, No,
I get it. I understand.
I'm not trying to be a little bitch about it because everyone loves AEW and I get a lot of angry people at me like, oh, you're only watching this. Well, listen, there's a lot going on in the WWE world with this, particularly with women, that why would I? The parallel, but there's no comparison between the two for me at the moment because one is showing that it's doing a lot with specifically women and one is showing that it's doing pretty much nothing. So that's where I'm at with AEW. But I know Kenny Omega just returned. Of course I watched that. That was a wonderful moment. It was. But where are you right now with AEW? Because I know you are just head first, like swimming with the sharks with it. You love it.
I love AEW. And I will say my frustration with the women thing is what was said since the beginning, that they were going to do more with women, and they haven't. That's my biggest hang up with AEW. You say you're going to do stuff. You tell me that you're going to make improvements. You had a whole pandemic to work it out. It's really cool that you got the TBS title and it's for Jade. Love that. Where is she? There's just things that are happening that I just don't understand.
It feels like the token women's match, doesn't it? It just feels like it has to be.
Yeah, and that's no disrespect to the women. I just don't understand. I don't understand, because if that's what you're going to do, don't come out and say that you're going to change the world of wrestling. And like, as much as I love Kenny and I'm very, very glad he's back, I watched his after match promo chat to the crowd and he was like, it's a smorgasbord of wrestling. You're going to have this, this, and this, and women and da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, but no. And I don't understand why that is. And I know a lot of people will say, oh, Queen, they have Dark and Elevation and Rampage. Yeah, I don't care about that. I'll tell you right now, I don't care. I've never cared about that, really. I tried to give it a fair shake. I don't understand the difference between Dark and Elevation. There's no difference. Make them one show. To me, anyway. And Rampage, like, it's cool. I like the concept of a nice 1 hour little fun on a Friday, but
it's the same I don't have time to watch that live every week, my guy. Like,
yeah, I don't watch it, so I can't really speak to that.
When I was dipping in. I was really trying to consume everything that AEW, not Dark and like, fuck that off. I'm not watching 18 fucking squash matches in a row. No, thank you. But,
yeah.
But like, I was trying to consume and give it. I gave, that I took a long time to get into AEW. I was like, I just can't. I'm not vibing this, and I really did give it a chance. And I was really. There is a lot to love. I'm not saying I'm not blind to the AEW program, but I will say that another thing with AEW that I've really noticed, why I kind of stopped watching Dynamite, is that I feel the show is becoming very repetitive. It's kind of the same formula every single week. I've noticed that it's like, for example, I know we're talking about women, but the women are generally the 9:30 slot. I know it's kind of changed a little bit lately,
which is good.
But I would just
take that.
You're starting the show with this. A lot of the same people are opening the show. Another thing that I don't like why are women never given that opportunity to open the show? I know they've main evented a couple of times, but it felt like it was just a gesture. I'm not going to dive off of that opinion.
Sometimes it does feel that way, yes. And that's my biggest struggle with it.
When you have, I understand fundamentally, Raw's, honestly, since Trips has taken over, which we're going to dive into, it's been a lot better, but I know Raw but there was a stretch where Asuka was main eventing every single Raw, and no one was making a big fuss about it because it just became the norm.
Right. It's normal to do that.
It's not happening in
AEW. Or they open the show of their pay-per-views.
How many times do women open? You only dip for WWE pay-per-views, but 9 times out of 10, women are opening that.
The women are opening it
because they're the best thing. They're the only reason I gave WWE my attention for the last 5 years is because women are prominently featured, especially now with Trips at the helm. I just don't understand, like, when people are like, well, go watch this, it's so much better. But it's like, but I'm getting what I love with wrestling here. So why would, pull me away and go, we want to make this the best thing in the world. I would be like, fuck yeah, you've got a perfect format, you got a perfect show over here. But when I'm getting stuff over here that's already kind of whetting my appetite, why would I divert? That's where I am. And I know some people will, a lot of people call me all these things about, oh, you only watched it. No, I try to watch everything, but why would I divert from anything that's giving me what I want? It's fulfilling my appetite.
Yeah, and that's the point right there. What you're looking for isn't present on Wednesday nights. And until that changes, it might not be for you. And that's cool. I think a lot of people need to kind of get off this, I don't know.
The high horse.
I don't want to call it wars, but the high horse. Yeah, it's just like idiocy to me. Watch what you want or don't.
Yeah.
I like AEW a lot because it's fast-paced action. It has a lot of tag teams, which is one of my favorite parts of wrestling.
Love it.
And it has some of my favorite male wrestlers there. So for me, it's very enjoyable. I also love FTR, and I love Aleister Black, and the whole House of Black thing is just such a vibe, and it's totally up my alley. And I love what they're doing with certain people. I love obviously the return of Kenny was a huge deal.
What a return, by the way. I watched
touched that he was back, and I was like sobbing, full sobbing.
Especially when you know that, like, everyone's like, it's going to be him, the third person, which is fine. But sometimes that's a good thing. It's almost like expected, and like, well, it was expected, but like that.
It was expected, but not in a oh yeah, we know it's going to be so and so kind of way.
It's like it's Kenny.
It's happening, and it's been so long, and you can tell he's still injured, and it's just like, oh, what a moment. I had like that fan moment again when he came back, and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot. Not that I forgot, but I forgot on Wednesdays how much I missed Kenny. His presence there. Yeah.
We watch a lot of wrestling, so sometimes it's hard to get that reaction. Like, it's just,
it's difficult.
Sometimes wrestling, even if you're enjoying it, goes through the motions, and you're like, I know what's kind of coming up, and I've felt this before, and it's just kind of like, there's lots of moments of like, cool, that was nice, but there's not a lot of moments of like, oh my God, I feel like I'm a little kid again. I hate that analogy. Everyone uses that analogy, but it is true. Like,
but it's true,
you want to feel like you're 10 years old watching wrestling again.
Yeah. You want to get, and that's such a difficult thing, especially now, and especially with podcasting and consuming as much wrestling as we do, and being, I'd say, more involved. Not that whatever, we just have opinions, but we're more involved in the Twitter community, and we talk to so many different people about it, and we think about it, and we watch different pay-per-views, and it's hard to be surprised anymore.
Yeah.
It's hard to feel that feeling of getting it back. But I will say, not watching weekly WWE anymore makes turning in for a pay-per-view fun.
Yeah, I was going to say,
the
because you watched
pay-per-view.
Let's actually talk about SummerSlam.
Yeah, can we? Because
let's talk before we talk about
a lot of fun.
That pay-per-view from start to finish was damn good. It makes me so optimistic about what WWE's future kind of look. And you've seen like the things that have transpired since then. It's like WWE feels like a little bit of an unpredictable show at the moment because you've got people popping back in. And listen, 3 hours is too long for a show. We all know that.
Always, yeah.
But I've watched Raw every week since SummerSlam. By the way, I stopped watching wrestling completely. I mean, I wasn't watching any wrestling for a good month and a half. I dipped out after Money in the Bank. I was like, this is not, like, AEW wasn't killing it for me. I'm like, this is not good. Like, I'm just not enjoying things. And I'm like, well, why watch?
Sure.
Like, I think sometimes wrestling fans get in the sense of, like, they have to watch. You don't.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to watch any wrestling if you don't want to. Like, and it was great. I'm not going to lie to anybody. I love not having to watch it. I love getting to Thursday morning for me for Dynamite and going, you know what? I don't have to watch this. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to have a shower. I'm going to, do something. It was just nice. But SummerSlam, I was like, okay, I'm going to watch SummerSlam just to see, because Trips had taken over and I was like, listen, I think some people forget how good NXT was in its time. And I'm not saying he's going to make it NXT, but it doesn't need to be black and gold
forever.
It doesn't need to be black and gold NXT now, but I just want coherent, flowing stories. And I'm a pretty simple person to please. And Raw and SmackDown have been like that. There's been an arc in an episode where it goes, hey, the stuff that's happening at the start is going to flow through the show. So you actually have a reason to watch. It's actually, I'm not going to be like, go watch Raw. But like, I would suggest watching an episode and going, wait a minute, hold on. I'm not saying you're going to be like, this is the greatest wrestling show I've ever watched. It's just making more sense. There's stuff happening in it that's going, okay, the A and B is connecting. Instead of like 1 week you're watching something and then the next week they've forgotten about it. Like, even with the stuff that Vince was doing, Triple H has carried on. He's not just going, no, we're going to start he's like, let's see how these stories kind of naturally flow. And like, people are popping in. Like, it does feel kind of like that. But let's talk about SummerSlam, because we alluded to Becky and Bianca opening SummerSlam. By the way, their gears, my God, you and me have a very interesting difference in opinion when it comes to Becky Lynch and her elaborate outfits. I am in love with them. They're very Lady Gaga. They're very out there. I think they're just the big glasses, the big, I don't even know what your sleeves that she wears sometimes. Like, I think she's killing it. You, on the other hand, have had very, very interesting opinions when it comes to Miss Lynch. Some have hit, some haven't, in my opinion, for you, right?
Yeah, some of them are.
Are they too big?
No.
Not big in the sense of like big. I mean, big in the sense of like grand.
No, they need to. One thing needs to go. Right. There's something about some of them, everything belongs. The hat, the glasses.
Did you like the SummerSlam stuff?
It was okay. Wasn't my favorite, but it was okay.
Okay.
I think it's Gaga, it's Bowie, it's a lot of different things. And like, that's cool. But I'm trying to figure out sometimes what it means.
Okay.
It doesn't really go with who she is-ish. I don't know. They don't really.
Maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe are you just thinking she's doing it just to do it?
I think she thinks what she's wearing is a big deal because she's supposed to be big time.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, she went through that whole, like, I'm struggling to get back on top thing, but I'm still trying to find my confidence. So like, it sort of goes, but it's very chaotic sometimes.
Just tone it down.
Other times, just like one thing's got to go. That hat, weird shit, that has to go.
I love that. Sometimes. See, I love that.
See, I can't. Because there's only Lady Gaga can do that for me.
I I understand that.
It just works.
On the opposite, how do you feel about Bianca's half pant short things that she's got, like the very Ruby Riott era?
I was just gonna say it's Ruby Riott.
Yeah.
I hate the pant short thing.
Because Bianca usually kills it, especially for you.
Yeah,
I know
she usually kills it. Everything she wears, I'm into it.
Because she makes it herself, by the way. It's just so good.
She does herself, and I think she's very creative, and she's got really great colors, and
she wears stuff that's very flattering too.
Yes, and it suits her body. She looks bomb. Her WrestleMania was just...
Oh my God, her WrestleMania. That whole presentation of her WrestleMania entrance and everything that she had. Belair is just... She is just, like, everything works for her, doesn't it? Like, from a character standpoint, from wrestling, just how she's presented.
That's cohesion right there.
Yeah. I know a lot of things. I know a lot of people get on WWE, maybe not so much now, because there is a sense of optimism, and I'm not being silly for thinking that.
Yeah, it's nice to see that on the TL.
Yeah. But even before that, I know WWE had the issues were just like a whole novel, but they did make a lot of great stars. Like, you can't fault WWE for creating Bianca Belair. She was created within the PC. She is a WWE creation. I know she's a very
from
athletic,
start to finish.
But she is by the book exactly how Vince or whoever wanted their stars to be. Like, you can't fault
That's
WWE.
lightning in a bottle, though.
I mean, she's 1 in a million. Like, she is. Yeah. She can at this point do no wrong. She just kills it. And wrestling-wise, she's having great matches. She's having really great matches. She's main evented WrestleMania. I mean, she could end it today, just say, I'm done with wrestling, and she's had a Hall of Fame-worthy career already.
Absolutely.
And she's been, 2 years on the main roster?
On the main, yeah. Which is wild to think about.
Main evented WrestleMania, she has great matches with everybody.
One of the most important women's matches of all time with Sasha Banks. Like, just that alone is Hall of Fame worthy.
I mean, I'm glad you brought up Sasha, because we are going to touch on that in a minute.
I figured we would.
Let's talk about we talked about unpredictability and like that moment. I mean, Bayley coming back was one thing, and I love Bayley, and I just think she's great, and she's just so funny. She's so over the top, and who would have thought 5 years ago that she'd be a great heel? It just
I didn't, because I was so sick of those stupid freaking
Bayley
buddy things. Oh my God.
But no one I didn't see it in her being like, oh, she's a babyface and that's it. Like, and she's boring. She's just not working. And then she turned and it was like, whoa. Like,
I'm interested. And then she cut her hair and I was like, I'm even more interested.
And I know you hate her pants. I love them. You can't deal with them.
I do hate the capri pants.
Do you like her?
She looks good in them.
With the
listen.
What would you call that? They're like cargo.
They're cargo-y
type
pants, army-ish, cargo-y-ish.
But with the red,
I don't care what it is.
Girl,
you better work. When she came out at SummerSlam in that all white, I was like, oh.
And it was a good pop. And I was like, and something about wrestling in the daylight really does it for me. I'm like, I love this. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it feels like illicit.
Yeah, it feels like
it should always just be dark.
Yeah, I'm
like lots of lights.
What's going on here? And like in Nashville and everything like that, it's Music City, baby. Come on, let's do this.
I know.
And then EO was one thing, and I love EO, and I think a lot of people were like, EO was on the way out from a lot of our EO was gone. She was gone, but no one had really said anything.
I popped hard.
And I know the name change is one thing, but I like the name, by the way. EO Sky.
I don't mind it.
It sounds like EO Shirai. So like I have listen, we just called her EO anyway, so like whatever.
And she's
she's still a badass.
She's good.
She's fine.
Genius of the Sky anyway. So at least it's good.
Dakota surprised me the most because Homegirl was gone. She was out of here. She was like deuces, like
for real though.
She was gone. Like she was. I'm released. I'm King Coda, baby. Like I'm out of here. Her music hit, and I legitimately went, "What the fuck?"
I know.
And
that hair,
bitch. Dakota Kai has
slay, honey.
Her fashion sense to me is just like you get whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Yeah. She's just. That group,
she's a little punk rock queen.
Wouldn't put them three together, would you? And then you go, wait a damn minute, wait a fucking
works
minute.
So well.
Just whatever this is, keep doing. And the next night on Raw, they were
they were great.
They were featured throughout the whole show. We know what Trips is good at. with Black and Gold NXT, the thing I think about first is women.
I know.
Like, it's
and that is exciting.
He has featured women.
Given who we have.
Mm-hmm. And like the way the women's tag team title tournament has gotten a lot of time. It's usually featured in the opening match of both Raw and SmackDown. 2 3-segment matches. Important. They've really, whoever is, I'm just going to say Trips for just, it means it in general, whoever's working underneath him as well. But
right.
He's done a good job. And the importance on the IC and US titles since SummerSlam.
I like that. That is what I like. I saw that on the TL and I'm like, okay, here we go. This is the era that I want.
Yes.
Because nothing to me, and I don't know about you, but I feel like you're going to feel the same way. The era of the US title, John Cena Open Challenge, cannot be matched. And
my erection
on the
was
other
never
side,
bigger. It was the best thing ever.
No, the best thing ever. And on the other one, The Miz with the international belt.
Yeah. It's just
they're
the workhorse titles.
That's what I should be.
I grew up in, so we grew up in similar periods of wrestling. The Ruthless Aggression Era, let's just say from 02 to 6 or 7.
Yeah.
The IC title was held by Rob Van Dam, by Christian, by Chris Jericho, by Shelton Benjamin.
Yes.
Like, these people were on Raw every week with that oval
fighting.
IC title. They were having matches for that title. I'm not saying that you need to defend the title every single week. I'm not saying that.
No, but it was frequent.
Yes, it like for the first. This is a stat at the Clash of the Castle UK show that they're having in a few weeks. The IC title has been defended on the first time on a pay-per-view since WrestleMania 37. I
know. Isn't that freaking insane?
Triple H, I think, understands us a little more. I'm not saying he's catering to he understands that you need to have, it can't be, I don't think he's creating a quote-unquote wrestling show, but he understands the importance of what pro wrestling is. Triple H is a fan, and at the end of the day, Triple H is a wrestler. I know he's not wrestling anymore, but that is when I talk about optimism within the WWE world, Triple H is a wrestler. And
well, I feel hopeful for that. I think you're right.
It's a good feeling. Like, I feel like, and I won't say everyone, because some people just want to watch WWE burn. But for the most of us, we want WWE to be the best. We want WWE to be like, not the best as in like better than AEW. I mean like the best that they can be. So then it's just good. Like, we don't want it.
Yeah, I'm tired of trash.
You want to be pulled in and be like, I better watch SmackDown. Like, I better watch that tonight. You know what I mean? Like, you want that feeling. You know what I mean, though? Like, in the sense of like, you want to be like, oh, if I miss out, like, that's a bad thing. That's on me.
I want that feeling.
Yeah, like,
you know, when you're talking about sports entertainment, that's the pinnacle. That's what it's supposed to be. And, you know, we talked about this a lot. And I feel like when we were on BBR, we all talked about this a lot. When WWE is good, that means things are good. Mm-hmm. When WWE is bad, something's going on. Yeah. And other people have to step up to the plate.
And obviously there was some shit going on.
And there was some shit going on. But it's good to have that also. And I think it spurs amazing competition.
Yeah.
When they're performing well, other companies perform well. Mm-hmm. And that means what's best for business, to take a little authority line. But it's true, though, because it gives us more opportunities. Because when we're hungry for an alternative, right, that, to me, can push WWE in a better direction.
Oh, absolutely.
And, you know, I don't want to watch every week. No, I won't.
That's fine. And that's fair.
I would like to tune in sometimes.
And when you, like, you can just go, I feel like watching Raw tonight, and you put it on, you're like, that was fucking good.
That was great. Okay, cool. And I want to like that experience.
Yeah.
But, you know, for me, it just hasn't been it. I would like it to be it.
No,
but I can't dedicate that much time.
Oh God, it's a
especially because it's just been such trash. But now, with Trips and the changes that are being made and the things that I've been seeing, and after SummerSlam and moving towards, you know, other pay-per-views and down the line, I feel like, you know, we have some real potential for some really great shows. And I would like to enjoy watching WWE pay-per-views again. And after
Yeah.
SummerSlam, I was like, okay.
Damn, girl. Like, this is some good.
Like,
and not only
I
that,
can get that.
we're black and gold babies. We loved NXT.
We are.
And Triple H is pushing Shayna
and there's
Baszler.
Our kids. They're all there.
Shayna Baszler.
Ooh, I got so excited.
I know, black and gold NXT.
Throwing things.
But he's like pushing people like Tommaso Ciampa and Shayna Baszler,
Yes!
who are, I mean, when you think NXT, you think of people like them. Like, Shayna is turning into the killer she should have been from the moment she stepped foot on Raw. Like, and it's taken 3 weeks to make her that again. And it's like, this is how easy it is.
How hard was that?
And like, I understand like Liv Morgan's in a bit of a tough spot now because she is the ultimate kind of epitome of how Vince booked things. I'm not saying just Vince, but Vince in the general sense. She was rushed. That
whole team.
That rushed kind of, and she is the leftover effects of like, you had a genuine baby face and now she's getting booed because you rushed her to the top. And Triple H can't just go, I'm just taking it away from, like, you have to do something with it. You can't just go, well, we don't want to wreck this girl. Like, she has so much potential. And no disrespect to Shayna Baszler, but if people are cheering Shayna over someone, it's bad because Shayna's a genuine heel. No one cheers Shayna. Remember that whole run of NXT? Like, she did not get cheered. Like, we wanted every motherfucker to beat her. And
they never did.
They never did. I loved that reign, by the way. I know a lot of people, when you're in it, it's hard.
I loved it too.
When you're in it, sometimes you're like, I want out. But
yeah,
looking back, hindsight is 2020. It was the best thing they could have done in that time, coming from, the Asuka, Ember Moon kind of era. But yeah, like, Shayna's getting that treatment and she's going for the championship. And Ciampa was just wrestling Bobby Lashley, and the stuff with the Miz that he's doing now is actually really entertaining. Like, that's a pairing I never thought would work, but it's working because they're just, promos are less scripted, which is just like, oh my God, thank God, you're just allowing.
It helps. And yes, because to your point about that, that's what AEW has.
Yes.
They have that.
Yeah.
And that's what's missing or was missing in WWE. So much of that stuff was just like rote BS.
It was just
that
like
you could tell was just like written, told and funneled, and it's trash. Letting them go a little off the cuff. What a difference.
I want performers to fail. Not in that sense what you think I mean. I want the
try stuff.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, then you don't get the opportunity to do that stuff. You know what I mean? I want people I don't want opportunities just to go to people just because. I want them to earn it. I want performers I want there to be a sense of hunger again. And it feels like what I've watched from WWE is a similar feeling to when I was watching AEW of like, there's genuine interest from these performers to do well. And something that's really, maybe people didn't even think on the forefront of their mind is like, there's real crowd reactions again in WWE. It's not that organic, formulated like pop. And then people are complaining that they're not getting reactions. It's like, no, they need to earn these reactions again. It needs to be something that the performers are
genuine.
Doing. Yeah, like, it just feels nice. I don't know if you've seen clips from SmackDown with Sami Zayn, but they're in Montreal. And obviously, Sami Zayn is from Montreal, Quebec. I nearly cried. It was that. Just go and, YouTube highlights. They probably have the Fatal 5-Way up. There was a Fatal 5-Way match on SmackDown for like the number 1 contendership to the IC title. And Sami Zayn's reaction from the crowd is like unbelievable. Like, we all love Sami and he's a great heel. There's no doubt that he's very entertaining, but like babyface Sami Zayn, there's nothing like it. There's nothing.
I agree.
And like, just take 5 minutes to watch that, Queenie. I won't say I'm not forcing you to do anything, but like, go and take 5 minutes just to watch the clip. And that Montreal crowd, Canadian crowds are always fiery. They're always a good time.
Running that down.
But watch that, or find it on Hulu or whatever, and watch the whole segment. It's like a 4-segment match, by the way, on SmackDown.
Oh wow!
It's the Fatal 5-Way is fantastic. Like fantastic.
I'll look.
It's got Ricochet, Corbin, Madcap Moss, Sheamus, and Sami. So, they're all fairly,
take 2 of those out and I'd be fine, but okay.
Corbin does his bit really well. We can forget about Madcap,
he does.
But fuck off.
Yeah, he gotta go.
But like Ricochet, Sheamus, Sami, like, let's go. Like, it's really good wrestling. Like, that's what I've been really noticing too, is that, who knew this? Having wrestling on your wrestling program works.
Shocking.
SmackDown's opening with a match a lot of the time.
I like that. I prefer that.
And like people, I know we have our opinions about Ronda Rousey, but it is funny how you just, it is funny when you just let Ronda be Ronda and it works. Instead of making her like this smiley, happy, I'm Ronda Rousey, look at me. That bitch ain't relatable. It's not relatable. Let her just kick some ass and just be a piece of shit. Really.
Because she is.
She is, and it works. Like, that's what I mean. Like, it's funny how things like that work. Before we dip off of wrestling and talk about a little bit of music, because we love music, I want to talk to you about Sasha and Naomi. That whole situation. Let's do that. I know there's a lot of talk that they'll probably end up coming back. I mean, it's not the same management anymore. We got Steph now. We've got Triple H. I think they will, honestly, go back to WWE. My hand over my heart, that's what I think. But when that happened, there was a lot of stuff and pettiness and just the whole... Now, first and foremost, we'll just say, we don't know what the fuck happened. Really, at the end of the day, we're just two people, like anyone listening. We don't know what happened behind those doors. We don't know every detail of the situation. However, just going based off what you know, what was your immediate reaction to it before all the other stuff came out? When you read the timeline, I'm sure you weren't watching that episode of Raw, but when you read the timeline, I'm like, wait a minute, Sasha and Naomi have walked out. What was your immediate reaction?
That John Laurinaitis is a piece of shit and probably something bad happened. I'll be honest. Yeah. And I know a lot of people feel some type of way about Sasha. Either you really like her or you think that she's a drama queen because of all that stuff with the tag titles and Bayley. You know, and some people think that she has an attitude and whatever, but to me, I felt red flags immediately. I'm like, oh, something happened. Something bad happened. Because
okay, let me just interject for 1 second.
Yeah.
Sasha, okay, everyone says about Sasha, I feel like she's earned the right to have a little bit of an attitude, to be completely honest. But, because she's earned that, because she's one of the best. But for Naomi, who's never...
Something's up.
I've never, ever heard a bad thing happen or a bad word said about that woman. Have you?
Nope. Never.
She's
never
very
anything
by
I
the
read
company,
or anything I saw.
She's very just like, she seems like a very... And I don't mean this as a knock. She seems like, I'll just do what I'm told.
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't a bad thing, by the way. She
likes her job, and I get that.
She's been there for a long time.
Been there for a long time, yeah. I feel like that is another added reason why I figured something really was wrong when that all went down, and the way they handled it.
Ugh.
Oh.
I'm glad there's new management because I don't think that would happen under a Stephanie McMahon WWE.
I really, I'm very, this is a sensitive issue. We've talked about this a lot. We mentioned at the top of the show about double standards about the office.
If this was a man, this would not be happening.
Well, it didn't when Brock decided to do it.
Exactly.
And there was a lot of chatter about MJF and that whole thing. And people were talking, but they sure as shit didn't say anything on live TV to disparage them or guilt and shame them as they do with women.
Also, I don't like the fact that a lot of people called out Sasha and Naomi when they walked out, but when MJF did it, I understand there's some different circumstances, but he was a king.
Right. And it wasn't...
It really does annoy me too, and I understand.
It's so annoying. And it
when Punk did it, he was great. When Brock did it, he was great. When Steve Austin did it, he was great. But when Sasha and Naomi do it, suddenly they have attitudes and they're bitches.
Yeah, they're bitches, and they disappointed their fans by not coming. And
this comes from a company standpoint and a lot of fans as well, by the way, because there was a lot of people that were buying into that. Whatever, I can't think of the word, but it was just. It's just a very ugly situation.
It was gross.
And now I know a lot of time has passed, and
sure,
I do think that they will come. I honestly do. That's just me. I might be just thinking just with the way that WWE's kind of operated lately, and the fact that they now have mentioned the walkout on the Broken Skull sessions with Charlotte too.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems kind of inevitable that they will return because it is a different place. Well, at least I think the one man that was calling the shots at the end of the day is no longer there. So in that sense, I do think that they will return. I think you'll agree with me here is that what I don't like about this situation above everything else, I hate that people are only focusing on Sasha. 2 women walked out that day and no one ever talked. Everyone talks about, oh, when's Sasha going to come back? Sasha did this. And we both love Sasha. Sasha has earned her flowers. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
But 2 women walked out that day and Naomi has been a fundamental part of, she's seen the shit that the women had to go through before this whole women's evolution started.
She was in the trenches, man.
Like, she was there with the Bellas and she was there with,
was
with, AJ Lee and all, Caitlyn and Eve Torres and even Kelly. Like, she was with those women. And she has been, when the women's evolution or the Divas revolution started, she was in that group with Sasha. And then she moved on and like, she's been SmackDown Women's Champion. She's been Women's Tag Team Champion. She's, won Battle Royals at WrestleMania. She's had Royal Rumble moments. Naomi's done a lot of shit. And that, I really don't like how, because Sasha is the biggest star, she just gets kind of forgotten. And I don't like that. Like, 2 women walked out that day. And a lot of people were like, oh, Sasha manipulated. No, she's a grown woman. Yeah. She walked out. Her husband is in the company. It's much easier for her to just stay.
One of the biggest faction storylines in the past year and a half.
Mm-hmm. He's working with the guy of WWE. It really does
just blows my mind. The whole thing is irritating. And just as another reason why WWE makes me so angry.
Yeah, I get it.
And hopeful at the same time. It's like very toxic.
It is very nice that we have a breath of fresh air with Triple H and Stephanie. And and at the end of the day, it's nice to have a woman in charge. Like, she is the chairwoman. I know she's the co-CEO with Nick Khan, but she's the chairwoman of WWE. And
that's a huge deal.
I've always loved Stephanie. I've always had, no one ever says anything bad about Steph. You never hear too much crap on Stephanie because I think talent genuinely respect her. And then also, she's a great businesswoman. Let her handle that. And Trips is just running creative. And it's just like, this is a match made in heaven.
I'm into that.
This is what we always wanted. I think we've even had conversations like this.
We've talked about this quite a bit.
Yeah, the ideal situation is kind of happening. And listen, at the end of the day, we loved Black and Gold NXT. So,
and where are all of our people right now? Oh man,
on
Finn
top,
Balor,
baby. Oh
Damian
yeah,
Priest,
I know. One thing I'll mention
Ripley.
is you love the Judgment Day. You love that vibe. And
what is your thing? Respectfully step on me.
Dominic is living out everyone's dreams by just Rhea Ripley just beats the piss out of him every week.
She did. It was great.
And honestly, I think Beth Phoenix is going to come back soon, and Beth and Rhea.
I can't wait.
Because you love
good,
Edge.
Good stuff.
I know you love Edge.
I do love Edge. I love Edge. Yeah, but all of our NXT people are like thriving.
They really are.
And I love to see it, I love that. I love that for us.
It is really good. Like, when you think about like what NXT
Bianca,
is left,
right?
Like what NXT is left, like I'm talking Black and Gold NXT, what they have left, like the kind of hangover, I guess you could say, almost of like NXT Black and Gold is the main roster.
Yeah.
It's just deriving with people that are from that era of NXT. And again, with Triple H there, more people are going to show up. Like, we've had Hit Row come back, and we've had Karrion Kross come back, and we've had... Oh, everyone's shitting on them already, don't worry.
I know, but I love Hit Row.
I love Hit Row too. I think it's great. If you don't like Hit Row, you're obviously not in the age demographic. You're white, or you're just not cool. You just don't understand. Like, sorry, 38-year-old white man, you don't understand this hip hop group. I wonder why. Just saying. But people have come back, and that's cool. But going away from wrestling, we have to talk about a little bit of music because music is everything to us. First things first. Have you listened to the new Beyonce record?
I did.
Okay, so are we going to be on the same page that I think it's not very good?
I also think it's not very good.
Sorry, I know the Beehive is going to... They are going
slanderous.
They're going to find our address and they're going to attack.
Yeah, don't come for me. I'm disappointed.
What the fuck? That's what I listened to that. I listened to it twice. I didn't go by the
I'm
first.
very confused.
What the fuck was that? It was a mess. It didn't Usually Okay, I'm not the
Her
biggest
albums
Beyonce.
are stories.
Yeah,
okay?
they flow.
Everything has a story. It's a through line.
Bitch, I had to listen to that in order because I'm like, I need to listen to this from start to finish. I didn't put that shit on shuffle. And I listened to it twice through and I was like, what the fuck is this?
I hated it. I turned it off.
Girl, I didn't like a single song.
Not a single one.
I was like, go away again for 5 years and recalibrate, because what the heck?
When you're used to such perfection, and then like that Lemonade album, honey.
Oh, because see, I'm a Beyonce, like self-titled Beyonce. Like, I loved that record. Like, it had so that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's the first visual album.
But like, yeah. But it's so. The story and the through line and the execution and the visuals, and then you get this, and I'm like, are we in Frozen? What's with the horse?
Yeah, and like also like, are you trying to create a dance? What's going on here, Beyonce?
I don't know. I don't know what happened. We went into like a techno-y house,
and it didn't
vibe.
suit her. Like it was not flattering.
Her voice, she didn't sound like she normally sounds. I don't know.
I'm glad you vibe. I see everyone's like, I feel like some people, when they get the stamp of like, it's a Beyonce record, they're just like, I'm going to like this. And I understand that. I do that with some
And
things.
normally I do.
Yeah, I just wasn't into it. It wasn't her. Yeah, big thumbs down. As I desperately await new Paramore music, which is something that I've been waiting for since 2017. But My Chemical Romance came out with a song a couple of months ago.
Yeah, they did.
And
it felt good.
It did feel good. It was like 6 or 7 minutes long, which is, pretty on brand for them, to be completely honest.
Fabulous.
It fucking just went everywhere, like usually My Chemical Romance does.
It's a journey.
It made me feel like I was in high school again. I was like, oh baby, like, because we're emo kids, and
we are Warped Tour for sure.
Like, bring that back, baby.
Bring it back, baby.
But when that came out, I was like, we're back in this zone. It's almost like that music has come, not that it ever left me, but the mainstream kind of feel like we've all grown up and it's kind of given enough time to kind of linger. And now it's come back and you're like, is it coming back into the forefront of everything? Which is kind of like, it's a double-edged sword, because I'm like, also like, don't listen to it because it's mine, but also like, let's go. Like, and when Paramore released new music and that, you know how much I love Paramore and all of that.
I do.
And I'm sure you'll love it. You're waiting for it as well in some, you're like, okay.
Oh, I am. Yeah. Oh, of course.
Like,
I can't wait to listen to it.
They're going on tour again soon. They're doing all theater shows, by the way.
They made it, honey. They did it.
That's what I said as well. Like, my brother said to me, he's like, they're not doing arena shows and they're only doing some of the United States. I'm like, because they're exclusive now. Like, it's like
they
can choose. They can choose. They can pick and choose what they can and can't do. And that's exciting. It right there. Music wise though, what's on the vibe? What do you press and shuffle on at the moment? Just going, this is what I'm vibing with.
Okay, so Ghost put out a new album called Impera. And it slaps, start to finish, absolutely slaps. It's very different than some of their previous albums, but it's been they're very progression oriented band. The lead singer, who is he's a different iteration of his character in every single album and every single tour. So it kind of goes with that vibe, but it's unbelievably good. I can one of the few albums in my life that I can press play on and not hit shuffle, and just listen to it all all through, and I don't skip anything.
I love
that.
No skips is like the best thing. Everyone has those albums. Everyone has them.
Yep. So that's been on heavy rotation. I'm also started listening to a new band, not new in general, but new to me, which is Nova Amor. He's a Welshman.
Yeah, I've heard.
Really cool, nice vibes. If you like Bon Iver, that is the vibe. So I've been listening to that. And trying to think of what else. Doja Cat.
Oh, well.
I'm in a real
her Doja TikTok, by the way, is like, I'm not here for celebrities on TikTok except for Doja Cat, because she's just like She's just an
She's
idiot.
so weird.
She's so weird, and it's my kind of humor. I'm like, I don't even understand what's happening. I'm just laughing. Like, she's so weird, and it's great.
She is, but it's great and the music is great, and I actually think she's very clever with some of her lyrics, and
she's smarter than what she gives off in the like. She gives off this very like, I'm an idiot, but like she gets it. She knows what she's doing.
Gets it. She knows what she's doing.
Like I really dig that. I'm into that. It is
Demi
really...
dropped a new album, right?
A full rock album.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about this. So
I listened to it. Okay, so I was like, come up, and on Spotify you come up and it's like new release. It's like, Demi, and I'm like, Demi Lovato. Like, I never really, sure, she's fine. Like, I
camp rock, whatever.
Yeah, like whatever. I listened to it and I was like, hold on. I was like, this is like,
wait a minute.
This is like rock music, and I was like, surely this is just one song. So I skipped, and then I was like, hold the fuck up. You would actually really dig this, I think. It's very emo-ish.
I heard I might want to listen to it. Is that facts?
Okay, there's a song called Feed. Feed. Remember, it's for some reason it's all in caps. Feed. Listen to that song first. It's like on the bottom of the album, right near the end. That's the kind of vibe, and that's the first song I heard, and I was like, hold on. Then there was like some other songs, and I was like, this album actually, I'm not saying it's like the God's gift to like, oh my God, she's controlling rock music. No. But it's definitely an adventure that I would recommend. Like,
I'll give it a shot.
It's not chill out music. It's definitely not that, but you like window down in the car. Like, it's summertime over there. Window down in the car, like in the evening. I would recommend it. It's called Holy Fuck. That's what the album's called.
I saw that. Yeah. I was just pulling it up on my Spotify to double check that. I was going to say, isn't it called Holy Fuck?
It's called Holy Fuck. Great. It's pretty good. Like which you wouldn't really expect Demi Lovato, but I guess it's like the Miley Cyrus thing. Like Miley kind of dabbled in that kind of era of music, or that kind of genre of music, I should say. So yeah, Demi put that out, and I was like, oh, okay. And it's actually it's pretty banging. So I would do that. Other than that, I'm listening to a lot of Schrute, which I was giving you when I was giving you songs every day. Yes. I love Schrute because it's very chill.
We like chill,
and it's very like I can put it on while I'm just kind of doing something else. You know what I mean? Like
perfect.
Yeah, I like that. I like shower music. That's how I kind of describe it. I love a good like chill shower music when you're just washing your hair and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a good time. So I've been listening to kind of that, but we always will vibe on music just in the sense of like
always.
I mean, there's nothing better than music. Really, the music is just the best thing in the world.
It is.
But I mean, man, this conversation, I knew we were going to just kind of go everywhere and stuff like that, but man,
as usual,
it's where the most
gambit.
It's just like the most bipolar conversation. We're like, what are we talking about here? Like, we're just everywhere. One last thing before you run away that I'll ask is, when is Queenie going to come back to podcasting all the time? Because like, what the fuck? No, I know you have a bubba now.
Man. I do,
and I have the privilege of having you on Snapchat, so I get to see your little bubba, and it's just so precious.
Thanks, she really is.
When she's just like she's like, I'm like I seen your story come up the other day, and I was like, wait a minute, she's not like she's like a kid.
She walks and talks ish now.
She's not just like not in a nasty way, but she's not just like a lump.
I know. She's not like laying there.
She's just like,
she like runs around and
does
watching
TV and shit. And I'm like, wait the fuck a minute.
I know.
And when are you going to get her into wrestling? Come on.
Oh, she already watches wrestling with me. She watches every pay-per-view with me until she goes to bed.
She's going to be a little wrestling nut. I don't think it's avoidable.
Oh God, yeah. It's inevitable, as Thanos would say. But when am I coming back? Honest to God, here's the real truth. Okay. I haven't talked about this with anybody. Ooh. No one knows anything. I haven't even told JPQ. Nothing. If
you're not telling JPQ, then this is really...
It's a big deal. Josh, I don't know what to do anymore. I'm going to be real with you on this conversation. I don't know what to podcast about anymore.
You don't want to talk about wrestling?
Well, let me rephrase that. I know that I want to talk about wrestling, but I don't know what I want to do anymore. Queen's Court was a great phase in my life. I loved it. I really liked the programs I created. I'm in a different season of my life.
Yeah, no, I get that.
That's old queen. It's not bad. It's just old queen. I'm a very different queen these days. And my wrestling fandom has narrowed so hard.
Yeah.
That A, I don't know what to talk about anymore. B, as much as I loved doing interviews, I don't want to do that route anymore.
Yeah.
I'm always down to talk to people about their stuff. I think Queen of Suggest will always be a thing.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form. But I don't know what to talk about anymore, because I'll be honest, I only watch AEW on Wednesdays. I only watch WWE pay-per-views. Mm-hmm. And the GCW shows I love, but I can only watch so many.
Yeah.
So, and I don't have, New Japan World anymore. I don't have IWTV anymore. I don't know what to do as show wise. And I don't know if I'm feeling like I don't know if I have anything to say anymore that's worth listening to, and me sitting down, like making that a show that people would want to hear.
Yeah, I get that. No, I understand. No, I understand that, because I do a lot less content than I used to, just because I'm like, well, if I'm just going to talk about wrestling, I don't watch as much as I used to. And also, I don't care to share my opinion as much anymore, because it's just like, well, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like, really? Because I have a pretty good time on Twitter now, because I just don't really engage. Like, I'm not really tweeting about wrestling a lot. I just kind of just vibe. Because people just like to argue, so I'm just not into that kind of scene.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
And so it's just, I understand that. Like, it's wanting to do something, but finding the space and the concept for really what that is, because I think we can agree is that, at least when we chat, it's always best when we don't just chat about one thing, like kind of going everywhere. But then, what is the flow of something like that? Because it can become very like, what the fuck is this about? Like, yes, there's places for those kind of shows.
Sure.
But sometimes when you go a little bit too far, people get so lost. And it's fun, but it only has so much room, and only has so, the legs are only so long on something like that.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
It is finding something that you can sink your teeth into, a concept that is fun, that is not only fun for people listening, but fun for you, where it doesn't just become formula. Because I could tell, and I don't mean this as a knock on you, Queen, but I could tell by the end of that, you were just kind of running through just because you thought you had to.
It was the point where I was like,
you're a little bored.
This is what I do.
Yeah.
And then now it's not what I do anymore. Wrestling has changed so much since I started podcasting in 2019. Even Twitter has changed so much in terms of interactions and what people are involved with, and shows, and what they want to listen to and what they want to hear from. And I'm just in a different phase in my life.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to be 36. I got a baby. Someday maybe have another one. Mm-hmm. I don't have as much time as I used to have either. And I don't know creatively anymore if I have it in me to create something brand new.
It's a lot of energy.
It's a lot of energy and a lot of time. And it's not saying that I wouldn't dedicate time to it. It's just a different amount of time. Mm-hmm. And for me right now, I'm in a phase where I don't want to be the pilot anymore.
Okay.
I want to be the co-pilot. I want to sit back a little bit.
Wow.
And I want to add value as I can add value. But I can't have the controls anymore. Does that make sense?
No.
I don't know if I'm articulating this right, because I literally haven't said it out loud before.
You are, I understand you 1000%. Like, I think this is no shock to you, but I always feel like I work best when I'm leading. I get lost when I'm not controlling. Not that sounds so bad.
I know what you mean. No, you have the reins.
Yeah, right? I just like flowing the conversation.
Works very well for you.
Where you feel like you could almost follow a little bit better and just go, let me just chime in here and wait for someone to kind of ask me to chime in, because I don't really need to be. I don't need to do
what I used to do anymore.
I don't need to be heard first. Heard when asked, almost.
Sure.
And
I think I missed the group. I think I missed the group of it all. Like when I was doing DIW TSB, even though we hated watching weekly, we had like the most fun. Yep. But all I really needed to do was make sure I made all my commitments, watched what I needed to watch, and was ready to bullshit with my friends. I'm ready for that energy again.
It almost sounds like you need not a script, but you need like someone to tell you, hey, do this, and then we're going to talk about this. You don't need to be the one going like, what are we talking about today? Like,
right.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I get that.
I want to be a part of a conversation.
You need a tag team partner.
I do. I feel like I'm in the phase of my life where I need a tag team partner or a 6-man tag or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know that I don't know. I'm not closing the door on solo podcasting.
Oh, solo podcasts in general, though, are hard, dude. Like, they're so hard.
It's tough. It's just a lot. And I don't know about it anymore. But I am definitely open to being a part of a group again. I miss that. I don't miss the drama that BBR was, but I miss the group nature of it. I miss the ability of being like, hey, Mags is going to podcast
I miss
this
Mags.
day.
Shout out to Mags. Too. I know he's probably still going to watch this because he still does, I think.
Because he's the man.
But he's going through his own stuff and stuff like that.
I know. But like
Mags.
that like, oh, I know this show's coming out. And I know
do
Josh has his thing.
Yeah,
and
I do miss
Conrad
that.
has his stuff. And I miss that. And like working collaboratively together and being on each other's shows. And that I miss. I don't miss all the but I miss the community of it all.
We got to a certain height too where people were paying attention. I'm not saying we're big time, we weren't, but I'm just saying people were paying attention, and that just isn't a thing anymore because
no, it's not. It's a totally different podcasting world these days.
It's so different. I just kind of do my little stuff and I stream and,
which is great.
I just have a good time.
And you're good at what you do.
Well, I'm okay.
You are.
I appreciate you saying that, but
you're welcome.
I just do a lot of shit for me, really.
But that's.
I hate being so self-centered, but like I just do shit for me. If I wanted to get back into the space and actually dedicate some time to doing shows and stuff like that, because we were all producing a lot of content, like
so much content weekly,
and now I do none of that shit.
I know,
but
just was a different time. Josh.
It was
a different time.
We're in different phases of my life. I was 22 years old. Queen.
I know.
I was 23 years old doing this kind of stuff. Like I
know.
I mean, you're going to say like you're a baby, but I'm 27 at the end of the year. And I don't know, I'm just in a different.
It's different. You're very different in your early 20s than you're in your mid 20s. And I know that people don't believe that until they do it, because I was a totally different human, 23 to 25.
I was having a conversation with someone. I know we're going to wrap up, but I had a conversation with someone, with actually my boss at my work. And he was like, when I hired you when you were 17, you are not the same person when you're 27 or 26. Like you've grown up. I feel like I grew up pretty fast in the sense of like, I went from a boy to a man. Anyone that says like you're a man when you're like 18, I'm like, I was a baby. I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Literal child.
I don't even feel like I'm a full grown man now. Like I'm still, but like you are older than me. When did you feel like you grew up?
I feel like once I was 25, I felt pretty,
just like
pretty adult. But that's also because I got married. Yeah. And so there's that. But I also think truly I felt like a responsible adult when I was 28. Like if I could always be 28, I would.
Seems like a good age. I feel like I'm pretty comfortable at my age at the moment. Yeah. And I feel like I'm coming into my own a little bit more. And I'm just like kind of like, I know my values and things that used to be important are no longer important.
Sure. I get that.
You know what I mean? Like, remember that time in your life when you're in your early 20s and you're like, I just want to be with my friends. I just want to be out. I want to be, what am I going to do on Saturday night? Like that was all you cared about. Now it's like,
of course.
Now it's like, what's the best move for me in a career sense? What's the best move for me financially? What's the best move for me to create my own happiness, whatever that may be? I feel like that's just a part of
different moon phase.
It's just, I've noticed it's not just like an overnight switch. You're like, I'm a grown up now. Like it takes time.
Takes some time.
I've noticed just the things that are core values to me are just they're a little bit more mature and a little bit more responsible. And it's not about just like, there was almost a sense of when you're in your late teens and early 20s, you're just like living day to day and you're just like, woo. Now I'm actually like, what's happening in 6 months? What's happening in 12 months? What am I setting up for the next 3 years? Like that.
You're at that point.
It's crazy to feel like that. And it's like, oh my God, am I like a man? Is this weird? Like, I don't.
I know. It's weird, right?
It's a weird feeling, but it's cool. I kind of dig it too. Like it kind of feels nice. Good. I know in a few years when I turn 30, I'll be like, oh, well,
you will for like a minute, and then you're going to realize your 30s are the best. You thought your 20s were good?
Everyone that's in their 30s or have lived through their 30s, like your 30s are your best time of your life. It's when you feel the best. It's just when you just own your shit. Like it's just
100%.
Everyone says
you're the most you've ever been.
I just feel so,
and it feels
like,
really
to say
good.
that. Like I'm closer to 30 than I am to 20. It's just like,
I'm
getting
sorry, I'm gonna be closer to 40 than I am.
I'm getting grays in my beard now. It's like, what is going on?
I know you're getting old.
All the men in my family have a full like gray hair by the time I'm like 35. So, but they all, like, my grandpa had a full head of hair when he passed away, and he was in his like late 70s. So
fantastic.
Like, I'm going to go gray, whatever. I'll embrace it. I'll be a little
live life, honey.
Gray boy.
You only get one.
All right, I'm gonna let you go because we've run a little over time, and I know you've got a little bubba to get to. But if you want, I know you don't have any shows to plug, but you have your social media. I mean, I've had it on the screen. You can follow Queen on Twitter and stuff like that. But I don't know, as they say on Hot Ones, this camera, plug your shit. You got 30 seconds. No.
Thanks. Follow Josh Robinson. And follow me on Twitter at the Queen of Any. I live tweet AEW and
pay-per-views. If you just watch WWE, Queenie does watch WWE premium live events.
I watch the premium live events, pay-per-views. Normally I watch them with Josh, which is so fun. We tag each other.
We can't sometimes because it is.
Sometimes we can because
Clash at the Castle we can't because it's on at 3 a.m. my time. And girl, I'm not getting off for that shit. You should get up for anything at 3 a.m.
I don't know that I'm gonna get up for it, and that's at a normal time.
Is that like 1 p.m. or something in the States, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, apparently, but
because it's the UK time. It'll be a good show.
Yeah, which is good for them.
Yeah, good for them. Yeah. I'm glad. More international wrestling shows. More international wrestling shows. I understand we're still in COVID times, but like, come on, pride yourself on being international companies. Some stuff. Let's get to France.
Definitely.
Let's get to Japan. Let's get to Australia. Come on.
Let's go to everywhere.
Just go everywhere. But yeah, make sure you follow Queenie. I'm gonna really try and make an effort to do more shows with Queen. It is sometimes hard with just our time zones because
I know
I'm only available at sometimes. Queenie's only available at sometimes. We both have jobs. We both have lives.
Yep.
Sometimes a little hard, but I'm going to try to do this. We got to try and really make ourselves do this like once a month or something. Just get together.
We need to do that.
Chit chat. Maybe we'll have something to talk about off air. Being like, hey, wait a minute, bitch. Maybe we should do something.
Let's revisit this conversation.
Yeah, but until I don't know when we'll do. I listen. This is just a bonus little weird chat on my YouTube. Watch the Power Hour with me and JPJ. We have a good time. We just talk about anything. Come hang out with me on Twitch. I do a little bit of everything. I'm not just doing wrestling. If you don't like wrestling, if you found me through something else, wrestling has become kind of like a sub part of just what I do. But I play wrestling games. I play Mario Kart over on there. I'm playing all these different Nintendo games. I do a lot of AFL stuff. If you're Australian and watch Aussie Rules Footy, come hang out with me. You'll like me. So until whenever the fuck I see you guys, I'm out of here. So have a good one, everyone. Bye.